basically bringing buildings up out of the ground digitally using algorithms and geometry. So imagine being able to go onto a site and put some parameters in, and up comes a whole lot of different design strategies. A unit site, same type of thing. Commercial buildings, townhouse sites, mixed-use sites. So we've built that technology, which is on our platform. Now, in order to commercialize generative design, we thought, well, you know, you need to be able to find sites and put sites together in the first place. So that's why we built the property platform. And we basically built a platform which has all the cadastre, all the property details for every lot throughout the country. A lot of fantastic layers, and I'm going to show you this live very shortly. Australia's biggest zoning database, things like bushfire, flood, and a lot of add-ons as well at different levels. So the likes of Nearmap is our base map, CoreLogic, sales, listing sales and rental data, and CoreLogic, which is both from CoreLogic and I should say from Domain. So we've managed to map both data sets on the one platform. Been able to provide an ability to do a quick estimate, a more advanced estimate. Yeah, so there's so much insights whereby developers and property professionals, government agents can find and explore the development potential of single and adjacent blocks of land, taking into consideration planning controls. So it's just like, now it's got to the point where it's just a real must-have tool for, in particular, developers in finding and analysing development sites, because we've just been able to build this platform, which we'll see shortly, which really just allows you to do it all when it comes to looking for sites and analysing those sites and having it all there in the one place. And then advancing, if you're interested, into the more technical world of generative design. In saying all this, the foundation of the company is architectural technology. Ben Curry started by setting up an academy which teaches architects to be architects. It's called the Archistar Academy, which is used practically in every university throughout the country and many throughout the world, teaching design software such as Revit and Rhino and Grasshopper, and it's a rapid learning platform. So this has all developed from that base. So there's just a very, very sort of quick overview. We've got many customers, right from the big end of town through to, you know, just small developers out there looking for sites, and agents and trying to put together sites. So companies like Stockland used our platform nationally now with over 130 users. Mervac, Frasers, agencies such as Colliers, CBRE, architectural firms such as Hassel and Buchan Group, and the list just goes on and on. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey to continue to build this product. Really very customer centric. We've had customers using our platform right from early inception, and our customers have helped us develop the product through their ongoing feedback as to where we've got to today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen if anyone doesn't have any questions to date, and I'm going to give you all a demonstration of the platform. How does that sound?
Great, thanks, David.
So you should all have my screen in front of you, is that correct? Yep, all good? Okay.
Yep, all can see it.
I just have lost seeing any. I've just lost any anything that anyone writes coming up in front of me, but so if you've got any notes, they're not. Sorry, guys.
That's all right, David. Well, I'll be able to see it, and if you don't mind me, I'll just pipe
Yeah,
in.
yeah, please do that.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the Archistar property platform, and it's a national platform, and companies access it nowadays via state. You subscribe it at different levels, and today we will have a base level offering for anyone that does want to start using the platform. So if I just jump in here, I know people are at different locations, but if I was to go into maybe, let's say, a suburb like Parramatta, for instance. So now I could go into a specific address. I just started this way. But I can go straight into Nearmap, which is the most updated high resolution aerial mapping platform available, which comes on our platform, and you literally can hover around and basically see everything. Now, if I just turn Nearmap off, I can go into our filters here, and when you're looking for development sites, you might say, look, I'm looking for where can I build townhouses, and then instantly they appear. And you might say, look, I'm only looking for blocks of land that are over 800 square metres. And if you do that, then only they will appear. And now it's just showed those blocks. And then when you go and turn the likes of Nearmap on, you can sort of see what's going on underneath these properties. Now, if I was to click on any block here, so I was just to go into this particular block of land here. So this one is actually an R4 zoning, which you can build apartments on. It's 699 square metres. And straight away, I'm told I can build townhouses or apartments here. I can go into full details and I can see the permitted use with consent, permitted without consent, and prohibited. I get to see all the planning details, floor space ratio, maximum building height, minimum lot subdivision, minimum lot size for multi-dwelling. I can visualize that in more detail by seeing full details here, and all that information for dual occupancy, multi-dwellings, residential flats is all there for you. And you can, it'll even reference where that information comes from, and you can actually go straight into those documents if you so wish. If you have an RPData subscription, you can deep link straight into our platform, which means that I can click here and go straight into the property in RPData, straight from our platform. Depending on the property, it will provide sold and rental history and an AVM. This one could have been owned for some time. So I might just move a little bit more into, I'll move a little bit further out maybe. So I'll just click on another property here, for instance. Now this one, you only can, actually this property's got a heritage listing on it. And I might just quickly take you through that. I'll just turn these off and I'll come back to that. But so there are a lot of filters here to use to look for, you can even filter looking for zoning. So I could say, you know, I'm only looking for a particular zoning and type that in, and it will only, if I was only looking for, say, R3, then it will only basically highlight R3 zone. Another way of searching any particular zoning. We also have other criteria. Yep.
Sorry, David. Luke's just mentioned he used to live in Parramatta, so that might be an interesting little exercise to do.
Yes.
To probably just show him how it all looks and feels. 3 Alma Streets, ALMA Street, Parramatta.
3.
Number 3, ALMA Street,
Alma
Parramatta.
Street. All right. So this looks like the property. So you can build a duplex on there. There's all your controls. It was built in 1920. Does that look familiar, Luke?
Yep.
And so it was last sold on 13th of April for 950,000. Before that, it was sold 3rd of December, so it's actually been sold for less. But you can see all the sales history, any rental history, if it was here, and a CoreLogic AVM at the bottom, which is currently 1.1 according. And if
they sold for 535. That was
some time ago.
Oh,
yes.
There we go.
So there's all the history.
2011.
Yeah, so all that's at your fingertips now. If I just work around this property for interest's sake, if I was to turn on Nearmap, so we can obviously see things a little bit clearer. And having access to Nearmap, which is updated generally no more than every 2 months, in more city areas, sometimes monthly. I mean, you can really see things as they're happening, so you get a really good idea of what's happening around areas of interest or properties of interest. If I look at the layers, and we'll stay around Luke's property here, and I'll just turn these filters off. We've got all these great layers. So we have Australia's biggest zoning database, so it's another way of being able to visualise the R2s and the R4s, so you can see. Luke, your property was only just off on R4 zoning, but it's also interesting to be able to visualise that, because you can have 2 properties that you might be interested in that you want to amalgamate, and they're basically got different zoning. So that's interesting to be able to just know that very quickly. We've got a layer on building height, which is really cool. So you can visualise the maximum building heights.
Where does it tell you how high it is? You can see it. Is there another legend?
You need to go. No, you've got to go. If you go into the property, it will tell you. So
okay, right.
For that zoning.
Okay.
Yep. So there's that layer. There's another layer for basically the darker the colour, the bigger the lots. So you can see if there's a variation, much of a variation of lot sizes around that area. We've got contours, 2D, but the 3D contours are really cool, because that's when you can start to look at, really start to see slope around a property or area of interest. So that's something cool that we built on. We've also built flood, so you can see those flood areas coming up there. Really handy to know that, and you see them flickering on and off. And we've also got bushfire. If I move out, we might see some, maybe not around here. But basically it highlights all the bushfire areas and the heritage, which is really cool. So now we're highlighting any property that's heritage listed. So to know that is extremely valuable as a valuer. And we've also got all the 3D buildings. So when I say 3D buildings, we can see the current, basically, buildings, which are updated every 3 months from PSMA data. So to visualize that's really cool. Other really useful tools that we've put on here is railway lines. So if I click here on railway lines, and then it would put a circle around the station area. That means that's a 5-minute walk from the boundary to the station. That's what it means.
Is that generally about 400 metres?
Yeah, 400 metres, that's correct. And we've done the same with points of interest. So points of interest to schools and universities. So it's interesting when you're looking at a property. So that circle there is basically 5 minutes walk or 400-metre radius to Macarthur Girls. And the same for, you can see, Western Sydney University. So it's just handy to really to be able to visualise those areas. So that just gives you some insights into current data layers.
David, I've got a question here. How often is the data updated?
Continuously. So we've got access to APIs and automatic updating. So the only thing is, like, things like PSMA data, they give us actually an overlay update every 3 months. We've got direct linkage into say New South Wales planning portal, but in saying that, we've actually found at times that we've updated New South Wales planning. They haven't updated one of their own zonings, particularly in like B zonings. So yeah, we're very up to date when it comes with our data. We have a whole data team based in Queensland. Our chief data officer is Sandra Chan, and Sandra ran all of CoreLogic's data for 20 years, and she originally come from RPData. So, and we've got a team of 4 dedicated data people that are on task. So just going to the next part of it, and I think before I do that, let's just focusing here. The other thing we can do here is add lots. So you can actually start adding blocks of land together, and you might want to see the difference it will make when you start combining lots. I mean, this is a duplex site. I mean, townhouse and apartments are saying possible, but there's a heritage effect here somewhere, but it's an R2, so you're probably not going to get more than a duplex. But the point is that when you're looking at sites, you might be looking at a townhouse site, the difference that adding an extra block may have, it might get you an extra townhouse or so. So the ability on our platform to bring blocks together is really beneficial. So if I look at the other add-ons, and we do this on a suburb basis, if I go into domain, now we're showing all the domain listings in Parramatta. Anything with a circle is a listing, closed circle. A closed square is a rental, and an open circle is sold. So when you start using this data in a way with layers, so you start turning on zoning data, that becomes pretty valuable. You start turning on the likes of Nearmap. So you're letting the data's really starting to give you really powerful insights with layers on top of layers. Now, if I click on any of these properties, I can go straight into the listing. So this is taking me straight into this particular listing, which I'm sure you all can see, which is on the market for almost 1.3 million. So we have that access there. Or you can actually just go into the property listings and it will show you on a suburb basis, which is because we're Parramatta here. There's 180 properties, residential properties on the market in Parramatta at the moment, and there they all are. There's 200 properties for rent. There's 45 new homes, 1 shared, and then all the sold history. So, and then you can access all that, or click straight here and it'll take you into the property from here, or go straight into the listing. Now, one of the things that we've done is also build Suburb analytics. So that means that you can get a real good idea of an area you're interested in and how it's performing. So for instance, and I can look at apartments or houses. How are apartments performing in this area over the last 12 months? According to Domain, down 3%. According to Domain, rentals are down 5%. Total sold has increased. Days on market is taking longer. If I look at apartments and houses over the last 4 years, how sales prices look, rental prices, and total sold. So you've got all those insights for every suburb. Now,
sorry, David, I'm just going to ask a question there. If we're looking at building new development sites and we're wanting to do research on brand new, let's say brand new apartments, what would be the best way to do that?
Okay. You mean like ones that are currently selling?
Correct.
Or for sale?
For sale, off the plan. So to be able to get a good sales comparison.
Okay, so what we need to do here, and I'll take you through this. So now I've turned on the CoreLogic data. I will answer the question in my next bit. So what we've done here is you can see the red is CoreLogic RP data. So now we've got both data sets, because they both will say that they've got everything, but they don't. But when you put them together, and no one has ever done that before, you are getting the full market of listings and rental and sales data appearing. And the same with Suburb Insights, you can do that with CoreLogic as well. Now, in researching, if I go here into Cordell, so Cordell is the business I used to run, and that's basically, it's quite an expensive platform to invest in, but I've managed to get this data on our platform and build it. And it's showing you all the project activity, right from planning through to construction of all different types of buildings. So if I just flick this off for a minute, leave Cordell on, sorry, and I'll flick the others off. So now this is all the development activity taking place in Parramatta. Now, what I'll do is I will maybe just turn on the zoning for a second so I can identify different properties here. And these are like R4s. And you can see a grid down the bottom of DA construction. So DA is green, orange is in construction, which could also be completed. So now, if I then go in here and turn on listings at the same time, now I can start to see what's going on.
So David, sorry to interrupt. Gail's just asked about whether you can turn on and off DA approvals. Gail, would you like to elaborate on what that question's around?
I think Dave just answered the question and stuff, like with Cordell and just turning that on, and then you got the
yeah.
So what I'm doing here to make the job easy, I'm turning overlays on and off. All right, so I can see what's for sale in newer areas and what's been in newer buildings and what's been sold. I will say getting off the plan sales, that's a very hard data set to get, and it's a very expensive data set. So because any sales that get recorded from CoreLogic or from Domain, the sold are going to be once they've settled. So there can be obviously a time period, quite a substantial time period. So someone buys off the plan, but they don't settle for a couple of years. So we've had some market forces taking place over that period of time. So there is one or two organisations that have gathered that information for their own purposes, and they sell it at a very, very, very expensive price. So it's not something that's really easy to get in getting off the plan exchange data at that time. That's why things like the Suburb Insights help. And, you know, just understanding that and doing your research around that market. Does that help a little bit? Yep. Okay. Now, just to go back to the Cordell data. Now, the reason I wanted to get the Cordell data on the platform is because it's one thing the planning control saying something, but it's another thing for to know exactly what has been approved or in construction. So the planning controls might say that on this particular block, I can only get 3 townhouses, but down the road, in exactly the same zoning, in a very similar sized block of land, another developer's got 4 townhouses. Now that's pretty interesting information to know. And also to know what architect or planner may have got that through, because they might not be bad people to talk to for the property you're interested in. So that was fundamentally why I wanted to do it. Now, I'm only showing you the visuals of Cordell. What we've also done now is there's 172 developments here in Parramatta, and that's not just residential. That could be a school. It could be anything. A fire station. It could be aged care. But I can go here into a table view, and then I can actually use filters to identify exactly what I want to know. So I just might want to know, for instance, projects here at development approval only that are only residential. Now, Cordell's definition of residential is 3 dwellings plus. So now, as you can see, I'm just bringing up those particular projects in Parramatta. And so if I was interested in, I mean, this is obviously, these are bigger projects because I'm not really in a small townhouse area, etc. But I literally can go straight in there and get all the information on that particular project.
David, does it show the DA number as well?
Yeah, it should be here.
Or would you have to go into the council's website?
Generally, no, it's not on. It's not here.
No, yeah. What's project ID mean?
That's the ID on Cordell.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So there is an actual Cordell platform, which if you do have access to that platform, you can easily view this project in Cordell by putting that ID there. That's why we put it there. Just and there's also the contact information if you have access to that. That is actually an add-on, having the contact details. Cordell place a big value on the contact details. Our base Cordell access provides everything but the contact details. Okay, so just to move on, I might just show you.
Oh, did you show the contacts, David? Sorry, I was reading the comments. Gail's asked, does it have the consultants that are involved in the project? Yes.
Yeah, it does, but that's on our premium version. So
We've
our
got contact details on the right.
yeah, so that's an extra add-on,
Okay.
but it's there if you've got access to it. Then you're getting information on who the town planner is, who the developer is, etc. But that does come at quite an extra cost now. If a base subscription to Cordell for New South Wales, when I was running the company, it was like $10,000 a year. Now it's about $7,000 a year. That's just to have access to Cordell. And we've managed to, I've managed to basically rebuild it on our platform. So certainly for the property industry, it's quite valuable to have that. Any other questions there, Cheryl, before I go on to the next thing?
Any questions? Anyone pop it in the chat? Or we're moving on.
Okay, so...
Oh, sorry, Dave. I don't know if you went through one of the functions, and I find is really, really helpful, particularly if you're looking at a certain suburb, is the underdeveloped sites.
Yeah, so I might just go into another...
Did you want to look at Long Jetty, Luke? You mentioned.
Yeah, no, I'll go into Long Jetty as a suburb. That's fine. So here we go. So just in saying that, what you were saying here is, so I want to say, look, where can I build townhouses?
Yeah.
So you can build townhouses in a lot of areas here. But what really gets interesting is when I love the idea of just going into Nearmap and being able to see other developments, because you can see what people are developing, so you can see there's some townhouses here on this particular, and you start fishing around, and there's obviously all your data there. So when you're looking for sites, that's fantastic. But just going back to your initial question, so we've built an algorithm, and so just say you were looking for apartment sites. I don't know if Long Jetty is going to be a great example. We highlight, okay, so it's highlighted a lot here. So anything highlighted, our algorithm is picking up underdeveloped sites.
So it's highlighted the dark pink already.
The dark, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so when I turn that on. Also, we've built empty lots here too, so it'll highlight if there were any empty lots, which I don't think there would be too many around here, it would highlight them. But yeah, so when we, with our algorithm, what it means by underdeveloped, it means that it's under the planning controls. So the properties on those sites have not been pushed in and around those areas. So there's properties there that are under the height and they're not being fully utilised. So we've built an algorithm around that, which is quite useful. So I might focus on this area just to do an example of analysing a site, if that's okay with everyone. So if I look here at this, where we were, and I think we'll just use this one. So this is 636 square metres. So, if I look at this site, really look at the site details here. It's 9.5 metres, 50 to 60% site coverage. It's R1 general residential. And there's the sales history, etc. Now, if I was to On its own, I don't think it's going to be too useful. It may be, but let me just put a site together just to make it a little bit bigger. And now we're saying that we have 1,343 square metres. Now, what I would do straight away, I'd go into the add-ons and I'd go into Cordell and I'd suss out what else is going on around here. And I'd turn on my zoning, see if they're in the same. Now, they're not in the same zoning, but still the same. You can do the same thing. So I assume this is a townhouse site. So there's 4 villas here on this particular block. And interesting enough, it's 1,154 square metres. So you can see I'm just doing some homework here. Over here, I've got 674 square metres and he's got 3 townhouses. That's really interesting. And using Cordell, I can get more information on that. So when I spend time researching, knowing what's going on in that area, it's really helping me to fish and work things out. And then, you know, you start saying, oh, well, what houses are on the market around that area at the moment? So we're really starting to set up a nice fishing pond for ourselves. That's not to say that you don't want to create sites for yourself too. It's that the properties don't just need to be on the market. Now you may zero in on some opportunities and want to try to create them yourself. Outside of those properties on the market, you might say, look, I'm really interested. There's a profitable site here, and then approach the agent, say, look, I'm interested in these 2 sites. Can you try to get an option for me, or whatever it may be? Have you done things like that in the past, any of you? Cheryl?
Yeah.
So look, just going back to what I was doing, because I'll just use that as an example. I think that's where we were here. So what I can do using our very quick estimate tool is I can go here, I can go into townhouses. When you've got to work out the minimum lot size, and that's always where the Cordell data comes in handy, because you need to know the minimum lot size per townhouse site or per villa site, and they can really vary. That's why when you start to look at precedent, it really starts to help as to what you can do. I mean, that site we looked at here, that was looking at about 160 square metres based on that 800 square metres. But, you know, let me just, for the sake of it, and I would do a little bit more homework, but just to show you how this works. I've put 170 there. Then I'll say land efficiency. One of the issues on this site, and it's probably different on the R3s, is I noticed that you could only build on, I think, up to about 60% here. So that does affect your coverage. And your average, and you might want to build depending on the size, 170 square metre townhouse. And I haven't done my homework to see what they sell here, but I'll take a guess and I'll just put 500,000. Brand new 3-bedroom townhouse, and you know, we'll say 170 probably may cost probably, let's say, 280,000 to build, and I want to make a 20% profit. ODC, other development costs, closing costs, your acquisition costs, I'll update that. And based on those numbers, it's not looking very good for this particular site on those numbers. I just made them up. But at a very quick glance, we're saying if I want to make a 20% profit, I can't pay more than $230,000 for those numbers. So if it actually only costs you $200,000 to build, it's going to start changing the scope of things. But it's a really, really good, quick mathematical way of looking at, is this worthwhile proceeding with? And then we've built what we call our development due diligence report, which is a self-branded, it's like a CMA report on steroids. So you can put your branding, your face, and then there's a picture. There's the properties. See the estimated values from CoreLogic. All your controls there. So your land use, permitted uses listed, planning controls, any overlay information. And you can choose which of these pages you want to put into the report. You can delete them. Heritage, I think they're with flood. Contours. It loads all the comparable sales in there, all the analytics for the suburb. Houses recently sold, houses for sale, for rent. So it's a really full-blown report at the click of a button.
Is there a report for the quick feasibility as well, the estimate?
That's what I've done. That's it.
But in terms of that layout that we had before.
Did I turn it on? Let me go back here. Did I?
And then while we're doing that, if you can, Joe's got a few questions here. He said, can you build a list to create a mail merge?
No, we don't. The data can't be exported into like an Excel format. That's part of our third-party agreements. I mean, we have access to everything. We can do it at the push of a button, but the issue is that our third-party providers, like CoreLogic, who own RPData, and Cordell, that would be creating too much competitive. They'd be, it'd affect their base products if we had that functionality. So that has been restricted.
And Joe's other question, does Archistar come with training?
100%, yeah. Unlimited training and support. So we've got a customer success team, videos. We have weekly webinars, and we also offer one-on-one training too, wherever it's required. We're a SaaS business, so we want our customers to keep on using the platform, and the only way they're going to continue using it is if they're getting a return on investment. So in order to do that, they need to know how to use it. So it's very, very important.
And Joe's other question, how does it get retail values for the feasibility? You've got to plug those in, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's not for too much longer. We're continually building. This is an evolving platform, and I can say probably about a month away, we're actually going to be pre-populating through analytics the actual sales prices in each area. So that's really going to help people. But it's based on comparable on comparable sales that have settled, and it will always. The thing that prevented us from doing it before was, using the standard deviation. So if you look at something like CoreLogic, they'll give you a range, and the range on a property might be $520,000 to $560,000, and the property may well be worth $560,000, but we will not put $560,000 on it from a standard deviation. We'd probably be a little bit more conservative, and we'd be more at the lower end of the scale, which is not a bad thing when you're analysing. but we are actually building those smarts right as we talk. We already have the construction on our more advanced generator, which I'll give you a look at now, because this is the really cool tech, where we've built advanced parametric design generators for apartments, mixed use, townhouses, subdivisions, and commercial. So if I was to go into our townhouse generator here, and I could start to put a whole lot of detail here. So I might say the lot area is 160. I'll put a width here of maybe 7. Let's make them 150 square metre townhouses, and I'll just make 100% like that. I could have variations if I wanted to. I'll leave those setbacks in there. I'll make them attached, and then I'll hit generate, and then our townhouse generator will start to bring up design strategies. So this is the sort of stuff that starts to get a little bit scary for the architectural industry as we continue to develop it, particularly our units, because our unit generator is quite advanced. So based on my inputs, it's now just, it will start to put up different types of, and some will make sense, some won't. It just depends on my inputs as to how it does it. And then I could do a feasibility on that if it was on those numbers. And it even brings in Cordell costings into it. So it'll give me rates per square metre for buildings. And so an average cost of Cordell is $15.82 in Longevity per square metre, plus a construction cost, plus a builder's margin. So I can go into a really full feasibility right from putting the sales price, gross realisation, construction cost, builder's margin, agents fees, professional fees. I put a contingency in there, simple interest, legal fees, council contributions, demolition cost, add other expenses, and then I'll get a residual land value, which may or may not make sense. And then I can change the percentage, which will give me a different margin.
We've got a few questions here, David, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Joe, he says, does the designer allow for easements, future roads, etc.?
No, it's still being developed. So, so this is all like really world first technology. So it doesn't, when we can get to that point, then we'll probably be putting a lot of people out of business. So at the moment, these are design strategies. Some are really cool. Others you wouldn't do. But the whole idea of generative design is it could bring up 60 different design strategies on the one block, of which you can then filter and sort and start to look at them. What we're also building this quarter is a thing called edit, which means that if you like a design, then you can start to edit it and mess with it on the block. If I look at, let's have a look here. Actually, I might sort of, rather than, because people are asking about this, I might just very quickly, I'll see if I can show this to you guys.
After you've done that, David, I've just got another question from Gail as well.
Sure. So let's see if, are you guys, can you guys see the other screen there now? Are you seeing another screen?
Yep.
Yep. All right, let me. I'm going to show you just on this particular deck. So if you look here at generative design, this is now showing you the sort of, can you see those slides moving?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is sort of the work that this is all our generative design work. And this is like these are all being just generated at the push of a button, multiple designs. And there's our subdivision generator. So yeah, this is all really world first technology. So this is inputs, and then all of a sudden it will build a whole lot of different strategies on the one block. These are like subdivision blocks. But yeah, really, really cool technology.
In the version that we're using at the moment, can we access subdivisions?
Okay, so normally the version that will be on offer here for you guys is generally, it has restricted access to the generators, but for you guys here, I will give you full access to our generators. So that will be available. I'm just trying to get that back. Okay. Have you got my screen back, guys, for the platform?
Yes.
Good.
So before we go ahead, Gail had a question about whether we need to manually enter setbacks, or are they automatic?
No, they're not. They're there, but they don't automatically populate at this point in time. It's a project that we're working on, but it's provided us with a few headaches because they vary. In certain areas, even heights vary. So they'll give you a range of height. It might sort of say, 9 to 16 meters. And we just can't populate 16, for instance. Because there can be other requirements which basically say that you only can get 10 meters on here, even though the code says you can get up to 16, but because of these other things don't add up, then your height's restricted. And the same with setbacks. Like Melbourne has given us a lot of problems with setbacks because, like in some unit areas, on one side you can build right to the fence or to the boundary, and on the other side you've got to come into 2 meters. And then you've got these things called wedding cakes, which are what we call reduced setbacks as you go up higher. So yeah, there's been quite a few challenges. So at this point in time, we'll populate where we can with height and floor space ratio, but with setbacks, it's there to reference, but you still need to input it based on the research that we provide on the platform. I should also mention that we've got an amazing digital planning library that we've built for the whole country, and what that means is, so I'm just whatever site this is, if I go into the overlays for this particular site, you can reference all the documents. So see the dual occupancy development code, and literally I can go straight into it. The whole 1,077 pages. And that's just one document. We have like thousands of documents. And you can even look them up in our library if you wanted to. And so I go here into New South Wales, and so I'm looking at local government areas. I'll look at Burwood, and then I can go into whatever it may be I might want to look at the local environmental plan, and then I can go straight into that. So you've just got all the documents, all the planning documents from a local state point of view, all there in a library for you. The other thing which we have just also gone live with only in the last 2 weeks, because a very, very large valuation firm is having trouble doing their valuations at the moment because they can't go inside of houses. So they have like over 500 valuers, and they said, can you build a measuring tool for us? So we said, okay. And it works in with Nearmap. So for instance, if I turn Nearmap on, I can now start measuring accurately. So I go into our new measuring tool here and I say, look, I want to measure the buildings, and it could be whatever. I can literally start measuring. I'll do this quickly, but and then it'll basically, here's your area, 206 square meters, perimeter 63 square meters. And I can be measuring pools, I can be measuring distances. So this is something that wasn't on the platform, and it's only been live 2 weeks. So it's a really, really cool tool to have. And you can measure, you know, distances from the front and an idea of how big backyards are, whatever it may be. Okay. Any other questions?
We do have some questions. Alrighty. So Joe's got some comments here. Great for initial concept. So he's asked, if we're using this software, how would we quickly decide if a deal/area was good or not? Probably more so the deal. Area-wise, I guess you'd have to do more macroeconomic research on that.
Yeah, look, the Cordell data is really good for seeing what's going on in an area. You've got the Suburb analytics to research the performance in an area, but you've really got to look at the site and the controls to see how you can maximize your returns on that site. You know, being able to look at projects that look really interesting that are already occurred in an area where the envelope's been pushed, that's really useful, because then you know that if you're looking at sites of a similar size in that area, you should be able to achieve the same sort of the same numbers and the same sort of development and get that approved if there's precedent set up. But you know, it all comes back to how all the maths stack up, and you need to use our estimate and do your feasibility to now there's so many different variables in whether or not a site becomes profitable, from your construction cost to you know getting that extra townhouse on there, you know, being able to build townhouses slightly bigger than what you thought you might have, which you may get more money for. And you know, certain areas are, you pay a lot more for the land, but you know your resales are going to be a lot higher too. So yeah, it just comes down to what space you're in and what you're looking to develop and what your bank is. You know, whether you're looking to do a renovation, are you looking to do a duplex, are you looking to buy a property and subdivide it and put another house in the backyard, or you know, are you looking to start to get into, you know, more multiple dwellings? And I think that that philosophy of building wealth is, you know, when you start to build like 5 townhouses, you know, then you're getting a property, you're owning one of the townhouses every time you do one of the developments. That's I've heard that as a way of building wealth. So So your profit's in the last townhouse, and you keep that townhouse, and you keep on doing them, and then all of a sudden you end up with a very, very positive income stream and a fair bit of nice retirement wealth. So yeah, look, it just depends on how you look at it as a developer. I've seen people over the years like start very small and end up, you know, getting into quite major unit development. Just, yeah, it's well, you know, you start consolidating with others, you get into JVs, you do all sorts of things. It just, yeah, it just depends where you're at and where you're starting off, and what level you've got to in being a developer. But, you know, it's all there on the platform. Everything is there to in the one place to be able to find and analyze the development potential of land. And work out what I can do with these sites. Is it really worthwhile going to the next step? Because what our platform is not going to eliminate the need for architects or planners, but what it's going to do is it'll disregard a lot of the crap very quickly. So you won't be wasting time when things just don't work out at first instance, let alone pushing the envelope. So it's like, you know, I can put a line through that very quickly. I'm not going to wait. It just doesn't make sense. And but others you'll look at and you say, look, this is making sense just at these minimum controls. So now, even if I can push that envelope and get an extra townhouse or get an extra so many units on here based on some other precedent, well, you know, I'm likely to do quite well with this development. Okay.
And one more other question before we go ahead. Sam's asking, is the software connected to council's website so you can find out how much council contributions are per block if we're doing a land subdivision?
No, we don't report on council contributions. But Sam, I must say, you're not the first person to ask that question, and we have put it on our product roadmap as something we potentially are going to look into. One of the things that when we were doing some initial research was, again, the variation of these things and how quickly councils can change and make it up as they go along with their council contributions. They can change quickly, and they can be at different amounts in councils. So again, it's being able to get that information from councils and be able to live update. That's where that process is. But at the moment, no, we don't provide that information. But just as an add-on to that, we have done a deal with quite a large organisation where our customers will be able, probably in about 3 months' time, be able to buy title searches and easements straight off our platform at very, very cheap rates, because strategically it's not something we want to make money from. So it's just something, we'd probably put a couple of bucks on. So where someone may pay $20 for a title search in New South Wales, they'll probably pay $15 off our platform. So that's something that it's basically, we've just got to build it. We're actually the delay, so we've just got to build some of the back end part of it. But it has been, it's in motion. It's just it's on our list of things that are in execution mode. So yeah, that's a really interesting project that we've been working on. Any other questions?
Does this feasibility give accurate prices for building costs, civils, etc.?
Okay, so no, it doesn't. So when we look at our construction costs, the construction costs are rates per square meters for construction, but they don't take into consideration on-site variations in civil costs. So we can't. Cordell actually put a disclaimer on that. because when they're providing their rates per square meters, they can't know certain civil aspects, so that isn't taken into consideration. The rates that we provide are Cordell rates per square meter for houses and apartments. They do have a location factor built into them, a percentage factor based on the suburb, and there are 3 levels of average quality and prestige. So there's always that variation that you've got to allow for. And until you really examine the block, you know, there could be some aspects with excavation and soil and removing something that you just couldn't know, or you may have to encase something in like an easement in concrete. That's going to add costs on. And that goes into the deeper research.
No other questions, David?
Okay, great. Well, so look, we've got a particular offer that we'd like to make people that you guys that have taken the time to join in tonight. So you can, just to give you an opportunity to start using the platform. It's only at a base level, and I think so we're just letting people use our very, very base platform. We've got an offer, no lock-in period, $295 ex GST a month, and basically just giving you access to most of the things that you've seen here on the platform tonight. There's no Cordell contacts. Normally this particular offers $495 a month. Tonight it's $295. This is on a month-to-month contract. And for you guys, we are going to open up our design generators if you take up this offer. On this offer, we only normally give very, very basic limited access to the design generators. So we've left that offer open for a day. There's a link there. There's no lock-in period, so you can test it out for a couple of months, and after that, you can then look to contract. But at least this way, you can start using the platform and test it all out, and full training, and you know, we'd love to see you using it and benefiting from it. So yeah, there's a link there that Cheryl will provide everybody with, and so you know, feel free to take that up. It's well worth its while. I should just add, and it's something that I was actually having a conversation with Tim McFiven, the CEO of the Real Estate Institute in New South Wales, only a couple of hours ago, and we were talking about the market at the moment, and a big factor. And I've had the same discussion with Dr. Andrew Wilson and Tim Lawless. These are all, Tim Lawless is the executive head of research at CoreLogic. Dr. Andrew Wilson used to be the chief economist at Domain, and that is that more and more bargains are going to appear over the coming months, which really makes such a great benefit in using our platform to start to source these out. You know, there are people that, unfortunately, under the current circumstance, they will have to sell. They'll need to sell properties. They might even have a couple of development sites, and even smaller ones. They may need to offload one so they can finish another. So, you know, for those that you know have access to money, I think certainly over the next couple of months there could be some really good opportunity out there. I know there will be, just the way that you know, the coronavirus situation has just unfolded it. But it's really it's going to be quite a well, it's really a unique sort of event, and it's only going to be like this for a period of time, and then the market will spring back again. So, you know, look, it's an unfortunate period, but we've done well here in Australia. But it certainly also creates opportunities out there for people in the property, investors and property developers that have the means of being able to pick up those opportunities that will appear. Okay, so I hope you all have enjoyed the presentation tonight, and I hope I've been able to give you a few insights, and I really hope for those of you that haven't started using our platform that you do. I know Gail's a user. She jumped on our new platform very early in the day when we were able to offer some other things on our platform. So I know she's really enjoying it at the moment. So it's good to see you here.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it so much, David. It's got so it's everything all in one, especially for when you're just learning and getting into the property development, to have everything all in one area. It's just, yeah, it's so good. Like, yeah, that's why I jumped on it so early. It's an amazing platform you guys have created. It's so good.
Yeah, and people tell me I talk too much, but another thing I should also say is that we continue to develop our platform around our customers. So we really listen to our customers, you know, and that's how we've continued to build it. Well, can you make it do this? Can you make it do that? Why can't it do this? And then we prioritize, and that forms part of the ongoing development of the platform. The roadmap here has about 200 items on it at the moment that have been listed. There's a lot of cool stuff going on that I can't even disclose at the moment, which is just going to appear out of nowhere. When you've got a rocket scientist that's smarter than anybody else in your whole organization, that is not only an architect, but a computer coder and an absolute genius, it's quite remarkable what you can achieve. And we are an organization that really that has that person in our CEO, Dr. Ben Curry, that his vision is just continues to evolve the creation of our platform. And we even actually just had quite a big capital raise at Airtree. It was quite public. Invested a very large amount of money into for our global expansion. We are about to head off into the UK and into North America as well. So it's yeah, it's really exciting times at Archistar.
That's excellent, David. I thank you so much for your time. I know that there's been Luke says thank you as well. And if anyone's got any questions outside of this, what would be the best way? Email you, David?
Yeah. Feel free to email me at David at Archistar. David at Archistar.ai. AI stands for artificial intelligence. So.
Excellent. So this particular deal, 295 plus GST, and that's open till tomorrow. Is that correct?
It's open till midnight tomorrow.
Okay.
So as you can see, there's a clock there, and people can just sign up straight on this platform. And you know, and I'm happy tonight to give people full access to the generators as well. And yeah, it's it's a great opportunity. I'd suggest, you know, I mean, anyone on the call that has access to the platform should take advantage of this offer, because there's no lock-in. So it's just you pay $300 and you're not, it's not like a locked-in subscription. So you can give it a go for a month, and we'll give you all the full training, and then I guarantee a large proportion of you will want to continue to use the platform. So, but you've really got to start using it to start to understand the the real value of having so much data on the one platform. I mean, even just to buy Nearmap, you ring up Nearmap, it's like $3,000 or $4,000 starting point. It's on our platform. I mentioned about Cordell. You've got the deep linkage into RPData. You do need to have an RPData subscription for that if you don't already have one. I think Cheryl, you can help people with that anyway, can't you?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right, David. I mean, like, just to share with everyone here. So I met David I think it was probably 2 years ago when it was initially launched.
Right in the early days.
It was even before. It was sort of the week before it was launched, and it looked very, very different. And it's definitely evolved, and there've been so many new features in it. It is, I have to say, extremely powerful. And I almost wouldn't do searches for sites any other way now. I can head, myself and my team can head into one platform, and we're not looking at 8 different screens. Even simple things like the flood maps or the bushfire maps. I know it seems like a quick little button on the platform, but without it, I know I've spent hours even just looking for bushfire reports for certain councils. And not all councils are very friendly with their mapping tools. Some councils are great, some councils are terrible. So it is really good to have that all in one spot.
Look, we've had customers say to us, you have saved us so much time on that, because there's a bushfire line going straight through the backyard, and they wouldn't have known that. And it has affected the development potential of in this case, the person should have been able to get 4 townhouses, but had to come back to doing a duplex type construction, because that bushfire area at the back had caused a restriction on the full development potential.
Yeah.
But just to know that, even with watercourse, with flooding, I mean, that heritage, I mean, the feedback, we went to so much trouble to get that heritage layer, the work that went into that. I mean, to know that you are looking at a heritage property and didn't even know it, or even if you're next door to a heritage property, sometimes that can prohibit you as well, the way you build. Because a lot of developers don't think of it, because if it's a heritage property and then the site next to it isn't, there still can be restrictions on what you can do on the one next door because it's next door to a heritage site.
Yeah.
So just to know all that information, at the click of a finger, it's very, very useful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. I think we've taken up a good chunk of your evening, so I really appreciate you tuning in and providing us with your time on
Anytime.
a Thursday evening, and hopefully we can see you again soon. I know this is really valuable because a lot of people have asked about the software and want to be able to just sort of have a bit of a look and a play. So that's great. Thanks. If you're interested, obviously that link's there for you to sign up before it goes tomorrow, because it does actually end tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's a really special offer for you guys, and I really would like, you've gone to the effort to sit and listen to me for this long, and love to see you using the platform, because it will provide you with heaps of benefit and value.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone, and hope everyone's staying safe and sane in isolation. I have to say, we bought a badminton set today. I had visions of my children playing, and I realized 4-year-olds probably don't play badminton. They're looking to kill their sister instead with the badminton racket. So take care, everyone. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you all again. Ciao.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Bye.
See ya.